Sadiq Khan, the first year of the Patchwork Awards, how important are they as a concept?
Well, I'm just flattered to have been nominated and even more flattered to have won the award. I mean, it's always nice to be recognised and to receive awards. Nobody says no to an award. But what's great about the criteria for how the awards are decided is they look at factors that normally you don't consider. Deprived communities, people who are ethnic minorities, those who otherwise can be invisible. And so it's good to see the work many of us do in these areas, which aren't normally recognised in the paragraphs we get in the mainstream media, but recognised this way.
The first year of the awards, is this going to give a new focus to the way in which MPs interact with ethnic minorities and with disadvantaged communities?
Well, the most important thing for an MP is to be re-elected the next time, and that's always our priority. But if you speak to most MPs of whichever party, all of us actually believe in the ethos of public service. All of us believe in a civilised society being determined by how we treat the most vulnerable or those who are often overlooked. And it's nice to see that recognised in awards, because otherwise you do these good deeds, you aren't necessarily rewarded in the ballot box because numerically the numbers aren't significant. But it's good to see the hallmark of our society recognised by these awards, and I hope other MPs will say, you know what, there may not be votes in this, of course it's the right thing to do, but you know, you may get nominated for a Patchwork Award, you may actually win the award, it may be just that additional incentive that my peers need.
Do you think that some MPs will need to think a different way in order to make themselves eligible for the award?
Well, if you just look at the most recent census, actually we are a very, very diverse country. I mean, last year's Olympics, the Olympics of 2012, demonstrated what a fantastically diverse and successful country we are. Not simply those who got medals, not simply those who competed, but the audiences, the volunteers, and the reasons why the Olympics was a success. The most recent census confirms, in numerical terms, we are a very diverse community. As a member of Parliament, your job, of course, is to serve your constituents, and that means all your constituents, not those who are more likely to vote than those who aren't, not simply those who have been your traditional voters, but those who are new arrivals, those who are new citizens, those who may be older people but will be voting for the first time because they've recently obtained citizenship. And I'm hoping that there is almost like an arms race where MPs are competing with each other to try and win the vote of the minority. I mean, all of us raise our standards.
Do you think there will be some MPs, though, who don't think that the country has changed and maybe their particular constituency is not strong in terms of ethnic representation, and so they will push that to one side? Or do you think that because the whole country is changing, that every single MP has to be signed up to the kind of commitment that is recognised by these awards?
I hope all MPs recognise that they have a duty wider than just to their constituents, those who vote for them. The reality is there are some MPs of all parties who have been winning their seats for many, many years, have huge majorities and become complacent. And I'm hoping not just these awards, not just the recent census, but simply watching the medium of TV or listening to the radio, reading the newspapers, people recognise time has moved on. And if you are going to be an MP in the best parliament in the world, if you are going to represent some of the best citizens in the world, you need to raise your game, not simply because it may win you votes, not simply because it may win you an award, but because it's the right thing for us to do as parliamentarians interested in serving all our communities, not just those who vote for us.
And what do you think is the biggest challenge in terms of ethnic communities being seen to be up there in the public's perspective, as it were? Because you've got the extremes of the ethnic communities who might do some terrible things, but at the end of the day, those are the stories that actually hit the headlines. And a lot of the great work, I mean, I was at the North London Mosque not so long ago, and I saw for a couple of hours, there were 600 people, and they were all getting up and talking about what they are actually doing to help their individual communities. That's not something that's portrayed in the media. How do you achieve that kind of, if you like, that new acceptance of ethnic communities, which sometimes is difficult to get with the kind of media we've got in this country?
Well, first I think we should recognise that as a country we have some of the best anti-discrimination laws and the most progressive laws in the world. If you are a minority in this country, whether it's religious, Muslim, Hindu, Jewish, Sikh, or any other faith, if you are an ethnic minority in this country, you have more rights than citizens in countries where you may be a majority in terms of your faith or a majority in terms of your ethnicity. The ability of someone like me to fulfill their potential, being born and raised in London, is far higher than my cousins in Pakistan. It's just a fact. We should recognise that and celebrate that. That being said, we know there are some who are used as exemplars of the religion of the ethnicity who aren't really examples of the religion I follow or my ethnicity. And those of us who've had the benefit of meeting people of different backgrounds need to say that loudly and clearly. Listen, that man does not speak for the religion of Islam. You know, those
As
people,
you have done.
well, those people don't speak for Muslims, and we need to give more examples of this. Look, the great thing about these awards is it shows MPs of all parties, of all backgrounds, representing as best as they can diverse communities, and we're the best advocates for what a great country we are. There was nothing better than seeing David Cameron, Nick Clegg and Ed Miliband uniting in May when we had the atrocity of drummer Lee Rigby being killed in the streets of the best city in the world, less than a year after we as a city had the best Olympics ever seen. And it's really important we recognise that. And you know, if you look at the history of this country, over centuries, we've been a country that's benefited from globalisation, both in terms of externally, the empire, but also inward migration, the Angles, the Saxons, the Normans, the Jesuits, the Huguenots, the Irish communities, the Polish communities, the African Caribbeans, West Indians, the Windrush, Asians, most recently the refugees from Somalia and Sri Lanka and stuff, and we've benefited, and we need to recognise that history.
How much more work do you think needs to be done to achieve a completely integrated British society?
I think we're getting there. I mean, I think there are different concepts used. Some say they want assimilation, some say they want integration. I believe in integration. I think it's possible to have multiple identities. Look, I'm British, I'm a Londoner, I'm a Muslim, I'm a dad, I'm a Labour person, I'm a South Londoner. We all have multiple identities. We shouldn't feel that we've got to leave one at the doorstep when we come inside to the room. What we have to recognise, though, is that our common values mean we show each other not just tolerance but respect as well. Actually, as a country, we should be very proud of that. And the reason why these awards are so important is they're recognising parliamentarians who recognise that, but also demonstrate their commitment by helping all constituent parts of their constituency. And what I want to see actually is not simply the media, not simply journalists, not simply our law courts, our judiciary, but also Parliament full of that diversity that makes our country so great.
Sadiq Khan, thanks very much, and again, congratulations.
Thank you very much.